Here's my review of the Daredevil Born Again Season 2 finale, Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 8. I really liked it. I thought that this was a very solid episode, even though, in many ways, there's, these, two parts of this episode feel very different, but both of them are really engaging. The main, part of this episode is Karen being on trial for aiding a vigilante, aka Daredevil, and there's just so much great stuff in this episode. All the courtroom stuff, and Charlie Cox is genuinely so good in this episode. All the courtroom stuff is so interesting, and seeing Matt call Wilson Fisk to the stand is, it basically calls him out on the Safer Streets Act and the Anti-Vigilante Task Force and all that stuff. It was genuinely really engaging, but where this episode really gets going is really just when Matt is in the back with the judge discussing what's going on, maybe how he's being hostile towards Wilson Fisk and a lot of the other people who he's putting on trial and calling to the stand. Seeing him listen to Wilson whisper in his ear because Wilson knows he's Daredevil is so cool. There's a really great scene of Kingpin whispering because he knows that only Matt can hear him, and it was a really cool thing to see. But where this episode really gets going is when Matt specifically brings up the sinking of the ship, the sinking of the Northern Star that Fisk used to illegally transport weapons into New York. And it's really great to see. I mean, and he's explaining to Fisk, saying well, there was another witness on the ship that night, wasn't there? And he's in this court today. And it's so great because when that happened, I was like, oh, Matt's about to reveal that he's Daredevil. And he does. He does it in such a cool way. And it's weird because you're still really early on into the episode that makes you be like, oh, whoa, what's going on? But it's fascinating because he still is a witness. And after he does reveal himself, you're like, I don't know where this is going to go next. And it really feels like it goes crazy after this episode, but in a good way. Basically, after Daredevil, Matt Murdock, proves Kingpin is guilty of, smuggling all these weapons in through this port, a lot of these protesters who are also dressed as Daredevil storm into the courtroom. And it's crazy because as someone as cold and calculating as Fisk, seeing just him get so violent, which he does get, I've seen some people think that it's kind of out of character and sloppy, but at the same time, you have to realize that Fisk has nothing to lose at this point. He lost his wife. He's realized he's basically losing his power. And seeing him just basically try to kill the people who have done this to him, I mean, I think it kind of makes sense. And it just leads to some awesome action. And also, it's really cool to see Officer North actually kind of finally go through a little bit of change of heart after Officer Powell, who, oh my God, this character is so... That the character itself isn't bad, but man, I hate this character. He's intentionally meant to be this hateable villain. And seeing Cole actually kind of stand up to him was really cool. And just the pursuing action in this episode from Daredevil working with Jessica Jones, that was awesome. Ava Ayala as White Tiger, I thought that she was awesome. And there was some really cool action with her, from her jumping on the walls and just seeing how she, prowls around. It was really cool. I thought that the action in this episode was awesome. But what's really so great, I think, about this episode is just, a lot of the quiet character moments. Yeah, you get the fight between Daredevil and Fisk, but it's really just he's stopping these protesters from basically killing Fisk and just having another great talk with them and realizing how, yeah, this is never going to end. You have to leave the city. And it's interesting because we know, when you know Fisk, leaving New York, he loves New York so much in his own twisted way that him leaving New York is almost as much as a punishment of him being dead. And it's just really fascinating because you just have such a complex character. And although it does end, like there's a bunch of like brutal action, which is awesome, it's this awesome, great character moment, like these small moments between Matt and Fisk that make it great. From here to the scene in the courtroom when he's whispering, there's a lot of just great stuff in here. And like I said, the action is also cool. And it's very interesting and almost like sad how this ends because we do learn from season, was it from earlier this season? Yeah, it was from earlier this season, that Fisk and Vanessa at some point bought a private island, and that is where he goes. And he's basically banned from ever entering the United States again, even though I'm pretty sure he's going to be in season 3. I hope he's not the main villain because as much as I love Fisk, like I think that this is a great ending for his character, at least as a villain. Well, he's always a villain, but as a main villain. And I think it's really great seeing Matt and Karen just on a date again. And even though Matt, I mean, he still did break the law, and seeing how, like, even on this date, he still does get arrested, which is one of those things where it's just sad and corrupt to see, like, because it's like, that Matt is going to jail for doing the right thing, and then Fisk, who's this monster, is on a private island. And it's just like, just tragic, like, poetry. But it's all done really well. And with the way that this episode and this season wraps up with Matt in jail, I'm just so curious to see what's going to happen in season 3. And hey, I want to believe, I want to hope that he's in Spider-Man Brand New Day. I have a feeling. I hope he is. I mean, he's in a prison. Come on, hopefully. But I'm not going to get my hopes up. But I hope he is. It does kind of feel like it ends in a way where you're like, yeah, he might end up teaming up with Spider-Man because we know that there's a prison scene in there. But it's going to be cool. And the way, like, this season set up a bunch of cool stuff. Because we see Heather become Muse. Her fully embracing it. And I'm really curious. Like, Bullseye in this season, Bullseye was absolutely awesome. He wasn't in the finale that much. He was there, but seeing how he's going somewhere with Mr. Charles and seeing, like, I want to know, okay, what is Bullseye doing? What's he going to be doing working for Mr. Charles? I'm really curious to know. But like I said, what just makes this episode so great, I think, is just the great courtroom. I think that the trial was so compelling. I think that Charlie Cox gives like a career best performance, like one of his maybe not as good as he was in season 3. He's still great, but like this is like he's so good in this episode. He was great. And it's just such a compelling trial. Like I want to see it. It was just a lot of fun. And it was interesting how I was surprised that this was able to work because we had a trial as a finale, but then we also had the awesome action, and it never really felt like, then it just evolves into a generic CGI battle, because obviously there's CGI here, but the fight here feels like it matters and is important to the plot, because it is. But yeah, overall, I had a very fun time with the finale. I thought the season 2 was a big improvement over season 1, even though I liked season 1, and I don't really get the hate with the show. Every single time I still acknowledge, I don't think that this show is as good as the original show. I don't. But I had a real fun time with this finale, and I had a real fun time with this show. Overall, I thought this was a pretty good finale. So many great moments, great courtroom drama, great action, great character work, like great scenes with Karen and Matt. Just a really solid finale.